Makers! I'm Katherine from Minerva, and today we are going to stitch up the Nina cardigan from Style Arc. Now, we have a kit available for anyone who wants to grab that, and I will link that down below for you. And inside the kit, you'll have absolutely everything that you will need to stitch this up. So let's go through what we need to stitch it up.
Okay, so we have this beautiful knit fabric here, which has a nice stretch one way and it's a little bit more stable the other way. So it's a two-way stretch here. And then you will also get a printed paper version of the pattern, some clear elastic to stabilize the shoulders, ballpoint needles, of course, matching Gutermann thread, and our custom labels here with hashtag Minerva Maker on them.
So now that we have all of our materials gathered, don't forget to wash and dry your fabric in the manner in which you plan on washing and drying your cardigan. Because this is a nice pull-on cardigan, I put mine in the washing machine as well as the dryer so that I could very easily wash this up. And then we are going to select our size, and I will show you the size chart right here, but you can also head on over to the Style Arc website and grab their size chart there. And once you've got that selected, you can either cut out, or my personal preference is to trace out the pattern with some tracing paper and a pencil so that you keep that original pattern intact if you wanted to make a size larger or smaller in the future. And then before you go to cut it out, do pay attention to your dogs or your degree of greatest stretch in the fabric. Because this is a knit garment, we want to pay particular attention to that. And basically what that means is the amount that your fabric stretches the most. So if you have a four-way stretch and your fabric stretches more along one way than another way, you want to make sure you line up the dogs along the area that stretches the greatest. So let's get into stitching it up.
So step one, joining the center neckband. So you'll have two pieces and you'll have a notch on one end. That notch will denote where that center back neckline is. So we are going to put them right sides together. I'm using clips because I'm using a stretch knit fabric, but you could also use pins. I'm going to stitch and then I'm going to serge it. Do be sure to change to a ballpoint needle here. And then just using your seam allowance, I like to go ahead and stitch it first and then overlock it. But if you want, you could skip this step. It just makes it a little bit more durable when you're stitching it first as well. Your seams can be a little bit more precise. So now that you've got that all done, it should look just like so. Number two, join the center back hip band. So this is the wider band and it will denote the center back hip band with two notches. So once again, we are going to place these right side together, matching up those notches because there is a top and a bottom to this hip band as well with the different notches. So go ahead and match them up, then stitch and overlock. And it'll look just like so. And this is what it looks like when we open it all up, nice and stretchy, going with widthwise. Number three, joining the center back bodice. So we're going to take the back bodice pieces and we're going to place them right sides together. It also has another handy notch that we can use to match it up. I match up the top, the bottom, and the notches. And then we're going to do the exact same thing that we did before. We're going to stitch and then overlock or serge. So don't forget to backstitch at the top and the bottom when you are stitching up all of these seams, just for an added bit of security in your stitches and longer durability for your garment. So once that is all done, we are going to take it to our pressing station and give it a nice good press. With the knit fabric, using a little hit of steam and a tailor's clapper, just like this one here, really helps to set that steam, but the clapper isn't necessary. Now we're going to join the front and back bodices together. So I am going to lay them right sides together, matching up the shoulder and side seams to get everything all nice and neat. Then I'm going to clip the shoulder seams here. Then I am just going to stitch that and serge it. So I've already done the stitching. I just wanted to show you my overlocking. I don't actually clip my tails here. I just continue to go straight through and then I clip it and can clip it afterwards. So we're also going to press these. I always like to press my shoulder seams towards the back of the bodice. So just give it a nice good press and set that seam so it lies nicely towards the back bodice here. And once that is all done, it will look like this, and it's really starting to take shape. Number 5, set the sleeves into the armholes. So with this, we do have our sleeve. There is a front and a back to the sleeve. Grab your bodice and lay it flat. So you see these nice big curves in here? That's our arm side, and we are going to want to match up the right sleeve. So it does have some handy notches here. So you see that notch? We are going to match it to the notch on the front bodice arm side. So we're just going to clip that in place and then match the edge. The center notch in the sleeve matches up to that shoulder seam, and then we're just going to clip the rest in place. Now, because there is a front and a back, do pay particular attention to those notches in the sleeve. Stitch them and then go ahead and overlock the edges. So with this, we're just going to use our regular seam allowance, being sure to backstitch at the start and end, and just going through. You shouldn't have to stretch any of the fabric. It should fit perfectly. There is no easing the sleeve cap in. It should fit absolutely seamless in here. And I would really highly suggest stitching this with your sewing machine prior to overlocking, just because it's going to make that curved seam a heck of a lot easier. So now that I've got both of them stitched, we are going to do the underarm seam. And so this is going to match up first along that underarm sleeve where the arm side meets the bodice. And then I'm just going to add in my clips, distributing all of that additional fabric across there. And we're going to do that to both sides of our cardigan sleeves here, being sure we're matching up that sleeve. And I like to push the seam allowances towards the sleeve because that is the direction that seam is naturally going to go in when you put your arms through. So then go ahead and stitch that as well as overlocking that. So that's what this will look like here. Just going to turn this right side out, and now it is actually starting to look like a cardigan. We've just got a couple more steps. Let's set the hip band along the waistline. So remember that wider band that we stitched for the hip band? We are going to match center back with center back. And with this, I like to nest the seams, putting one direction, one the other direction, but it's really up to you. It just reduces the bulk. Now you're going to have a number of different notches along the hip band here. One denotes the very edge, and then one denotes that side seam, and they are labeled on the pattern. So I would highly suggest labeling them when you do those notches as well. So I'm just distributing the rest of the clips, but I wanted you to note the hip band goes much further than the end of that bodice. So it'll look just like this, and the hip band is going to extend further, as you can see. So number 7, we're going to sew the neckband. So we're going to grab the more narrow band, which is the neckband, and we are going to match the center back neckband and the center back of the bodice. And then there are also notches that will denote those shoulder seams that we are going to place in there, as well as any of the other seams and notches that we need to match up. Now, the fun part about this is the neckline goes down that hip band as well. So this is how we're actually finishing the cardigan. So you'll have a little notch denoting where that waistline and the hip band join. Then we're going to stitch this all in one go and overlock it. And so it should look just like so. And this gives a really nice peplum drape to the cardigan here by doing it in this manner. And now for number 8, we're going to hem the entirety of this cardigan. So we're going to start with the very bottom pieces. Now I am going to do a double fold hem with either a twin needle or, in my case, a cover lock machine. And so I'm just double folding this, and I'm going to do the same thing with the sleeves, and I'm just going to clip them in place. Now you can also use a baby lock hem or a lettuce edge hem. You just adjust your serger to do that. I do find that using the double fold hem and a twin needle or cover stitch does provide a longer lasting seam, which is why I chose to do that, but you can also do that little mini edge as well. And so we're going to do only the bottoms. We're not going to go up the sides yet. You saw me folding that side there. And we're going to do that in the second step. But at first, we're just going to do all the bottom pieces as well as the sleeves. So right here, we've got the sleeves, and then we've got all of the bottom pieces. So not going up that neckband. and not going along the back here of the skirt, along the very back portion. So this is my cover stitch machine. You can use a twin needle as well. That works just fine on your domestic machine. You just want to make sure that it is stretchy because this is a stretch knit. You could also use a zigzag stitch if you don't have a twin needle handy. And once we have that done, we are going to go ahead and stitch going upwards along the two side pieces. So one, that is that front neckband piece. We're going to do it the same double fold going all the way up, but then we also need to do the rest of the back along that hip skirt area that we didn't do in the first one, just because it has kind of two different angles. We couldn't get to it the first time. So you can see we've got, that's the neckband on the top here, and then we've got the back skirt. And then I just went ahead and I added the tag, and I just used my cover stitch machine to attach it in place. You could zigzag that as well. And it is all done, and we are just about ready for that final reveal.
And there you have it. The Nina cardigan is all stitched up. Now, if you have any questions at all, do let us know in the comments down below, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Now, if you haven't already created a profile here on Minerva, it's totally free, and it is a great place to connect with fellow sewists and makers, so I encourage you to create your very own profile. And if you're interested in what I am doing, I can be found on Minerva at Sheer Stitchery, and I'll link my profile down below as well. Until next time, makers.